Welcome to Season 6 of the Long-Winded One podcast. This is Spoiler Sessions, Lit RPG, the only show where spoilers don't spoil anything. We're digging into fan theories, side characters, and the lore authors left in the drawer.
All right. Well, welcome everyone back to episode 8 of season 6. This is Spoiler Sessions. And with me tonight, I have Erin Ampersand joining us. Welcome to the podcast, Erin.
Thanks for having me, Jared.
And Erin, you'll know from, I don't mean to interrupt you. You'll know from Apocalypse Parenting, the series, Engineer's Odyssey, which is not a part of the series, but kind of a part of the series, right? We talked like we'll get into it. And then the Measureless Magic book, which is right now only available on Patreon. But Erin has something very special to show us tonight with that title. So, Erin, we are here, and you have agreed to come and do this wonderful countdown to Lit RPG Con with us. We can talk about your books, but very specifically, we have 3 or 4 things that we're going to drill into. Right? For you've done several interviews out there in the world. The one that I listen to, of course, is Pop Pop. Everybody loves Pop Pop, which gives a nice kind of lay of the land of why you write and what kinds of things are important to you. But I do think we should maybe start with like a high level view of your books and your series, just to frame it and just in case somebody stumbled across this episode.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, I've done a lot of these, but I guess the generic sort of high level pitch for my series, especially for Lit RPG readers, would be it's a lot of people have accused me of copying Dungeon Crawler Carl, even though I published it before Dungeon Crawler Carl got big or popular. Had not read Dungeon Crawler Carl before I wrote, because superficially there's a lot of similarities. There are aliens sort of imposing an apocalypse on Earth for intergalactic entertainment, which is absolutely a summary of Dungeon Crawler Carl's world. Well, where it diverges is I don't have the majority of Earth's population instantly killed. My everything stays a lot more grounded. People are still living in their houses in the days after the apocalypse starts. And speaking of grounded, my main character is a middle-aged mother of 3 young kids, and her primary thing is not destroy the system, become the strongest in existence, and challenge the gods, but how do I get my 3 kids through this nonsense alive? So,
well, that seems like something that a majority of actual people in a system apocalypse would have to deal with, right?
And I mean, that's kind of how I started. As I was reading during the pandemic a lot of Lit RPG, a lot of system apocalypses, and I love post-apocalyptic stuff, but like, you don't see, you see a lot of like ex-military badass becoming even more badass kind of stuff. You don't see a lot of like, Joe down the street, Sally from church, but like Joe and Sally are people. What are they doing? I started thinking about it, and that's kind of how Apocalypse Parenting got started. And then one day I started thinking about the abilities my kids would pick, and my youngest wandered by with their ever-present attached stuffed animal, and I was like, ha ha ha, the rest was history. So.
I know where you're going with that. Mm-hmm. And before we delve any more into that, normally I don't invite our special guest in, until, 10 or 15 minutes into the interview, but I have to invite this person in. You don't mind, do you?
No.
You still don't know who it is, but I'm going to.
Who it is. I am interested.
All right.
Hi. Hello. So good to see you.
Have you been
So guys, I think somebody's going to turn down the YouTube volume.
Oh, YouTube. Are we YouTubing?
Laurie,
I want to YouTube too.
All right. Am I coming through good? Okay.
Still get echo.
I can try putting my headphones on to see if that helps.
Okay. Yeah, that will work. Surprise.
This is a lot.
I can't. No.
I've never done any kind of streaming session and not had 10 to 40 minutes of tech issues.
Well, you never guess. Okay, I think that's better. If you can hear us.
Is it better?
Yeah.
So it was
can
my
you hear
fault.
us?
Dang it.
It's
Yes.
okay.
It's always my
welcome.
fault.
Everyone, we have Laurie Catherine Winkel with us here.
Hi.
Famous for Life Reset, Calamitous Bob, of course, Boxy T Morning Mood. You played Stained in that, I believe. Is that right?
I did. Yes, I did.
Pangea Online, The Wayward Bard, the list goes on. And of course, you voice Apocalypse Parenting.
And
I
it's
do.
so funny because before we launched this, Jared's like, "Oh, you were at Lit RPG Con too, weren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, did you enjoy yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got to meet my narrator. I loved her so much before, and now I love her even more." And Jared's like, "Oh, is that so?"
It was one of the highlights for sure. I just regret that we didn't do it sooner so we could know each other sooner, but also that you could like write stuff to mess with me in the books, you know.
I had to write stuff to mess with you before I knew you. Although I think really it was just that one unicorn noise.
Well, I think
The famous unicorn noise.
Yeah.
Is there a story behind this?
Well, we can do spoilers, right? That's the whole
That's
name
the whole
of
point.
this.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that happens early on in book one is, they realize the father's away on a business trip at the time the apocalypse starts, and he isn't going to be home that afternoon like everybody thought because his plane never took off from Colorado, sorry. And he has a whole thing. I should actually get into that because that's really funny too. But one of the things that happens is like Megan's youngest daughter is like, "He's not going to be home. He said he'd play unicorns with me." And Megan's like, "I can play unicorns with you." And the little girl's like, "No, you're not as good at it as Daddy is. He's so much better at the noises." And so then when they finally reunite, spoilers, in book 4, he looks really different. It's been a little while. His facial hair is out of control. He doesn't look like himself. And the 3-year-old is like, "I don't know about this." And they try a couple things. Somebody uses an ability to like give him like an impromptu like shave, and she's like, "Oh, maybe." And then like the dad gets down on his hands and knees and does his horrific unicorn noise, and the little girl's like, "Daddy!"
I recognize you. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that was like, I forget, like 4 books in setting up that moment. But it was
Chekhov's unicorn noise. You just know it was going to go off at some point.
I was looking forward to it. So I did put it in to mess with you, but I also didn't. So it had
the question now, you'd really mess with me if you put it in again.
No.
Because I don't remember what I did, actually. Because I remember I tried to imitate it as written, but I went through a few iterations because I was like, it's not ridiculous enough. It needs to be... I just remember making some crazy noises in my studio and just being really concerned that my neighbor was going to, like, call the police or something. It is always the concern,
I was going to ask you to make the noise, but I won't do that now. No.
I actually don't remember.
Okay.
If I saw it, I could do one impromptu, but I'm not sure if it'll resemble what's in the book. But I'm up for a dare. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, we'll give you some time to think about that. So we have this is spoiler sessions. So we have 3 things that we're going to talk about tonight with Erin, and feel free to chime into that or to riff off of each other. This is pretty free form. We are limited to, we have about 20 minutes left, so we try to keep it very focused, to a few things. So Erin, you've been talking about some characters already. And I like for the people who may only be a book in, to remind them. So you mentioned already, we've talked about, was it Vincenzo that you were talking about?
He goes by Vince, but yeah, Vincenzo.
Okay, and that's that's the father from.
That's the father
from Engineer's Odyssey.
Yeah, he's the main character of Engineer's Odyssey. There's Megan, main character of Apocalypse Parenting, who's his wife, and then their 3 kids. Micah is the oldest. Gavin is the middle kid, the 6-year-old. And then Cassie is the youngest, the 3-year-old. So. And
we have a very important character that we've left out.
Yes.
So can we talk about Pointy?
Yes, please. I actually had this up here. So before I got a professional book cover done, I decided it was a good idea to try to do the book cover myself. And I made this like little posable plushie, and like I was going to try to give it grumpy faces and everything. That didn't. But it is kind of a posable plushie of Pointy. And this is pretty much how I envision her, except for much angrier.
That's awesome. So Pointy is a stuffed turtle, right? That is kind of like the gives the family advice on the system, correct?
Yes. And I made it so she is completely on their side, completely wants to be helpful, but because she is an ability created by the creators of the contest, they have limited what information she has available.
That makes sense.
So she has to also try to figure out how that information is relevant, what of it is relevant, because they don't actually like give her like, oh, you can tell them this, you can't tell them that. They just give her a random scattering of recordings of a past contest. And it's kind of like, hey, if you can figure stuff out from this to tell people, go ahead. But you might draw some wrong conclusions too, and we're okay with that.
That's right. That's what we call an unreliable plushie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, the nice thing is she, you've got the system and it's not handing out all the info, but you've got a reason for that baked in. Like, I feel like sometimes I'm reading something and I'm like, okay, I can see why that has to be for the story, but really? So
yeah,
I tried to avoid that.
I get the feeling that Pointy is absolutely crucial to their survival. Like, I think if Pointy wasn't there, we'd probably have half of a book.
No,
what do you think? You think it would last longer?
It's hard to say, because there are other intelligences out there in the world, but I think it would definitely be a much more tragic story, because one of the sort of wrinkles of the contest is that the aliens who created it their species doesn't really have a concept of childhood. And so they just give the abilities to children, and they treat the children like everybody else. And they don't want people not being entertaining and just trying to sit things out. So very early on, like less than an hour into things, Megan finds out like, hey, your kids are going to have to fight for their survival. They're literally going to have to fight monsters. So if you sit here and you lock them in the house and you tell them not to take dangerous abilities and try to learn to fight, you are not protecting them. You are delaying their deaths very temporarily, but then ensuring them.
Which is like how real parenting is, except like on steroids, right? Like,
yeah, no, it's very accelerated, right? Because like, you see those parents who are like trying to protect their kids from everything, and like you're just sitting there like, what do you think is going to happen in like 3 years when this kid goes to college? You're not going to be able to like monitor their reading list for them. Like
100%. Yeah. Well, so I want to get to one thing that I want to learn about is this intergalactic commonwealth, right?
Yes.
Which is kind of like the overarching I don't know if I would call them Vogans, right? Like if I was thinking of Douglas Adams, right? They're the people that are the government agency, right? That's in charge of all of this.
Yes. Well, kind of. So there is a company that's in charge of the contest, the Moffat Company, which is I don't get to get into this a lot, but let me tell you, before I started writing this series, like I like it all to make sense. So I tried to think like, how would this make sense? And so you've got this handful of like races that like formed the Commonwealth, and you've got this delicate balance between like the two founding races. And there's this race that started as predators that have no concept of childhood, and I could get into the reasons of that biologically, but that might be a little too deep. Called the silent or the soundless, and they never really developed military technology because they're a predator race. Why would you develop something else to do the killing for them? That doesn't make any sense. So they developed incredibly amazing travel technology, like faster than light, sort of warping through alternate dimensions technology, and they've kept control of that. Meanwhile, the Unity, the other like one of the big two races, they're a very insular sort of prey herd animal. And since they were preyed upon by all kinds of other things and don't have natural weaponry, they have weaponry for days. If they fight the Soundless are hosed. Let's go with hosed. I don't know what our profanity level is here.
Yeah, go ahead.
But the Soundless can get behind them, get past them, get away from them, and they've been very successful at keeping the location of their home world, locked up. So there's this sort of balance where, like, there were wars between the two of them for, centuries and centuries, but then they were like, is this really in our best interest? Let's kind of work together. But the Soundless want to see things die. They're like all the worst stereotypes of cats, and I love cats. Well, let's not get. I'm highly allergic to them, but I love them. But no, they're like all the worst stereotypes of cats. So they've kind of worked a way to kind of, in the laws of the Commonwealth, just barely. Oh, look, we've gotten permission from these species to put them in this death contest, and look, there's a prize. We'll pay for their application as citizens. We'll sponsor them after they win, the 5% of them that make it out of this contest alive, and they get to keep the nanobots. Nanobots are very expensive because the production of nanobots is very highly controlled after the Great Gru scenario that happened in Vega 3.
So you have a lot of back.
Oh yeah,
some world building.
No, like I'll just tons of it, and like a little bit of it comes out, but like just the very.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes it interesting and rich. And my next kind of tangent question would be for Laurie. And I know a lot of times, depending on how you're paired up with an author, and a lot of times narrators don't have a lot of that. It wasn't TSR, it was Wizards of the Coast. When they did their novel line, they would have a book, like, or a series Bible, they called it, right, which had all of the facts in there that especially if you had multiple writers in a particular novel line, had all of that information. So you a lot of times probably narrators don't get that from the author. So how do you take a galaxy that's this big, and then, without knowing any of this, and assign some sort of voice?
That's a really good question. It's harder with some books than it was with Apocalypse Parenting, because to me it seems that we're learning everything in real time, along with Megan and her family and her community, which makes all the information a lot easier to digest. I have done books where it was like, oh, the author thinks all of this is clear, but he's referencing languages and regions that, like, impossible to follow without a map splayed out before you. Apocalypse Parenting to me is not one of these series. Like, we are led along with it. So for me, the hardest thing to keep straight is just the voices of the neighbors and the community sometimes. But truly, that's on me as a narrator to save them.
I do have a big, like, third like, what do you want to say? I do have a big background cast. Like, I feel like the main cast is pretty much Megan and her family, and then we've got maybe like 10 to 15 other like recurring characters. But like, there's all kinds of people who like show up for a scene or something.
But it keeps growing, right? Like, I mean, it expands to other communities, right?
Right. Yeah.
After book one.
She starts out, you know, she's just concerned about her and her kids, and she realizes like one of the things that Megan realizes is like, hey, if the whole world dies off, you know, or 95% of it, the best way to keep my kids alive, you know, it's not necessarily going to be an even distribution, like 1 in 20 people everywhere. I want to be in one of the 5% areas where almost everybody lives, and the death can happen to somebody else. Like, you know, it's a little bit grim, but like, and
well, she's smart about it. I mean, it sounds like she realizes their best chance of survival is to have a strong community, right?
Yes. No, and I mean, I think, you know, some people criticize Megan for, you know, not caring as much about the world around her as she could. But I mean, her first priority is her kids. And I think she's a good person, more or less. But like, there are definitely times where she's like, I could help this person more, but it would endanger my kids. So no. And, you know, it is what it is. Some people are like, that makes absolute sense. And other people are like,
but that's what you want, right? You want people feeling passionate one way or the other. So
I think it gives her a bit of objectivity to make some of the harder decisions. I wish I could produce a really specific example right now, but I think the fact that she seems to be someone who tends towards, she's well-rounded, but she's not especially sociable. She's not a social butterfly compared to her husband, right? But sometimes that gives her a little bit of that ability to pull back and make decisions for the community, ironically, because she's not crumbling under emotional weight.
No, she's definitely not like a social butterfly and stuff, which helps me justify, like, because she, you know, a lot of times in these books, like, the main character ends up as like the king of civilization topia or whatever, and it's like, okay, but you're just here fighting dragons and stuff. I'm not seeing a lot of singing. And so, I mean, the ideal role really for a main character to me would be not the king, but with the king's ear. And it gave me, to have her not be that social butterfly, gave me an excuse to have her be like, somebody else take the reins. And then that person's like, okay, yes, but you're important. So let me know if you think I'm doing anything wrong. And it's like, yes, here we are. She's still got input, but now we know why she's just sitting here focusing on herself and her kids and the crisis of the week instead of where are we going to get more toilet paper for the 9,000 people living in Fort Autumn, you know? So.
Which is an important question, though.
I mean, I imagine that was a very serious question for them, but you know, not one that I wanted to devote much narrative space to.
And it hits a little close to home after the pandemic too, right?
Oh my God, so much. It is an ongoing strife for her as well, because sometimes the people around her, as necessary as they are also the biggest challenge. Like, even more so than the monsters sometimes, is dealing with people who do not always behave in a pragmatic way. When she can see the clear choice, they can't, and they let their emotions get in the way. And she doesn't necessarily always want to deal with these people. But that becomes just part of the stakes of surviving.
Or even, you know, maybe it is the most pragmatic choice, but from their perspective, I had one reader leave a very angry review and drop the series because of the first interaction with Tori, the neighborhood electrician. And Megan comes in. Tori has injured herself, and Megan's son spends his own energy to heal her wound. And, you know, they share the information that they've gathered with their abilities, and they find out, hey, she can repair walkie-talkies. And Megan's like, this is great. I bet we can get a lot of walkie-talkies together. we can have you repair all of these if it's not too hard for you. And Tori's like, what? You expect me to work for you for free? And somebody's like, I can't believe Megan did this. That's how people with kids always are, expecting other people to work for them for free. But from Megan's perspective, and I can totally see where they were coming from, but from Megan's perspective, it was, we've helped you for free with all of our resources. Can't you help us for free? And maybe everybody helps each other for free, which is a way it could have gone. But Tori and some other people were resistant to that. So that was a hurdle that Megan had to get over. You know, how do we get these people to cooperate?
Out of curiosity, was this a Reddit user? I'm just saying. No, you don't have to answer that.
I think it was an Amazon review. It was an Amazon review, but they were very, very unhappy about it. And I was taken aback because I didn't see it from, I didn't see Megan's actions from the same perspective as that reader at all, which, I mean, just shows you there's a lot of different people out there.
Well, I don't want to cut us off here, but we have a couple of other things that we want to talk. I mean, I definitely want each of you to tell us, or to tell everybody what you're working on and where we can find you. That's at the very end. So we have to save time for that. We have a few other things that we are going to talk about, and one of them is from the it's from the Engineer's Odyssey. It's a character. It's an alien character, an alien.
That's actually from Apocalypse Parenting.
It is from Pop. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so I believe this character's name is Fluffy, right? And he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the lawyer?
I think with us not having that much time, we better just not, because I could go on and on and on.
Okay. Okay. In that case, the other thing that we mentioned was that a lot of your readers, a lot of your fans want to know what happens at the end of the series, right? And you were you thankfully, it's kind of a breath of fresh air in our community. You said that this is going to be 5 books, right? It's going to have an end eventually. It's not just going to go on and on and on, which, I mean, I'm one of those readers that, like, if somebody, like, everyone loves large chests, right? Eventually that's going to come to the end, and I'm going to be brokenhearted. So I do understand readers wanting it to go on and on and on, but I've done a lot of talking, but so your fans want to know what happens at the end of this series. Is this something you can talk a little bit about?
So are we talking about the written end that's included in the book, or the epilogue that happens after the end? Because
it's whatever you want to talk about.
So end of the series, I think I'll Let Stand on Its Own. That should be out hopefully this summer. I don't think Laurie's gotten the stuff yet, but I'm sure somebody will be asking you very soon to carve out time. There's some stuff.
If I refuse, maybe the series doesn't have to end.
No, I think the audiobook will just be late until we break it down.
Dang it.
But no, maybe I can talk to you after this call. So the end of the series, I'm going to let speak for itself, but I will say that I wrote an extra epilogue that I decided kind of weakened things afterward, but it's still canon in my mind that, like, 10 years after the contest, Cassie and Pointy have become sort of intergalactic, like, tycoons running their own media network to compete with the disgraced remnants of the mafia company with their own more ethical games that don't actually murder people, but are very high stakes and grandiose in scale. And my thought is, maybe once I get done with the 5 series I have burning a hole in my mental back pocket, maybe if I feel like coming back to this, I've got this kind of built-in right there that they can be taking place on Cassie and Pointy's channel.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah.
So,
no, it's great. You're leaving yourself a lifeline back into the world. Yeah. Great. Well, great. Well, that's a perfect segue to talk about those other ideas that so anything that you can talk about just briefly, if you want to talk about your Patreon series, if you want to talk about some other ideas that you have, you're welcome to do that. I know you have something to share with us.
Yeah, I think.
I can share it in the chat if that's easier.
I think I've got it. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm almost there.
And then Laurie will ask you the same question about what kinds of things you're working on. And okay. Ooh.
I don't know. Did that work? Did it go to the fans or no?
I'm going to add it to the stage here. Let's see what happens. Here we go.
Yeah. So this is what I'm working on. It's only out on Patreon right now, but I love it. Cover art was done by Shen Fei, and then the typography was done by somebody else whose name I'm blanking on right now, but she did a great job. And it's sort of set in a world where instead of magic being this scarce thing, magic is more like ants, invasive ants. Like it gets everywhere and tries to mess everything up. And so the central conflict of the series is sort of, again, how do you survive in this magical overload that's kind of trying to wipe out and warp everything that comes in contact with it.
That's awesome. And the picture's amazing.
Chaotic energy that, okay.
And the only reason that there's a city there at all is there's this sort of derelict abandoned mage castle that's sort of stabilizing an area. And nobody ever comes out of the castle. And the protagonist has no plans to go in there. That's going to work out great for him.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely fine. He will definitely go to work at his aunt's weavery as he has always intended.
Definitely.
And so do we have a public release date? Did you mention that?
I did not mention that. It's up in the air for a number of reasons right now. But I am continuing to publish chapters on Patreon. So if you're interested, that's your in for now.
That's awesome. All right. And Laurie, what about you? What do we have going on for you?
Well, of course, the final installment apparently dropping in the next few months. I'm currently working on Calamitous Bob. I wrapped narration on book 3 and started on book 4. We're just adding all the other voices in right now. Other than that, I will almost certainly be at Lit RPG Con again this year, as long as I can freely leave and re-enter the country, because my French paperwork may have expired by then. So
we should say thank you for being here. It is very late where you are in France.
It's 2:30, yeah.
Oh, geez.
I have a rehearsal at 10 in the morning.
Oh,
so
no.
It's gonna be special. It's okay, I'm not acting. I'm co-directing, so it's fine.
So you don't need your wits about you right now.
But yeah, doing some theater, finishing up my master's finally. I took a victory lap, and I'm writing a thesis on French adaptations of A Streetcar Named Desire, which I think if I said that in the US, people would be like, you're gonna dust off Streetcar Named Desire for that.
It's
but
a
in
classic.
France, they like barely know the play here, so it's like exciting to them. So that's that'll be finished soon, and then I'll have free time to actually pursue things I want to pursue instead of staying up in the middle of the night narrating like I'm doing now. So.
Or doing random podcasts in the middle of the night.
Oh, I like doing podcasts. I have my own podcast too, but it has nothing to do with Lit RPGs. So.
It's okay. You can plug it.
Okay, I have a podcast called Never Say Macbeth. I have not made a dime off of it. It's just for fun.
It's on Spotify, though.
Have you listened to it?
A little bit.
I'm about to release an episode with Rebecca. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on Rebecca's name. That's terrible. Rebecca's last name. One of our narrators at Sound Booth Theater. So it's a series where I interview actors and performers about shit that's gone wrong on stage and how they coped with it. So
fun.
Usually it's funny. Sometimes it's upsetting. But yeah, it's good fun, and it's something I've been doing for years. But I don't update it all that frequently. It's more of just that's for funsies thing. So
that's why I do this podcast, to meet wonderful people like you. It's fun, and now we'll all recognize each other in 24 and a half weeks at Lit RPG Con. Not that I'm counting.
I've got a sky scanner on the flights. My plan is to be there, and the jet lag absolutely murdered me last year. So
yeah. Well, thank you both so much for being here. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.